We will officially start our February Bloomington Human Relations Commission meeting. It is now 4:32, and I would like to bring attention once again to the top of our agenda as a reminder that this meeting is being held virtually and that the live stream is available. I will ask Ms. Richards, did anyone register for public comment?
No, Chair Smith.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So we will move ahead and begin with roll call for the meeting. So Commissioner McGinnis.
Present.
Commissioner Ajay.
Present.
Commissioner Carey.
Commissioner Carey is on the line. If we could call her name one more time to see.
Okay. Commissioner Carey.
Commissioner Carey, if you or either your resident assistant could press the *6 button to unmute. Perfect, there you are.
Commissioner.
Present.
The color of the top of a fire hydrant indicates what? A, the water's flow rate. B, the distance to a fire station.
So Commissioner Carey.
Present.
Okay, thank you. Am I hearing sound from a television?
Yeah.
Commissioner,
Just a second. Just a second. They're getting it.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Commissioner Conam.
Present.
Commissioner Kenny-Carr. I know that she will not be present tonight. Ms. Richards has already informed me. And Commissioner Smith, present.
I have the TV off.
Commissioner Carey, if you would press *6 to unmute and *6 to mute. If you toggle back and forth between those, that's how you take yourself on and off mute.
Tammy. Tammy. Can you?
I think we can move forward as that is taking place. Agenda item number 2 is public comment, and we did not have anyone registered to share any public comments, so we will.
My assistant is in here. Can you tell her what to do and she will do it?
Yes, if you have the email in front of you, assistant, it would give you directions as to how to unmute and mute the conversation. But if you don't have those present, you can press the star key and the number 6, and that will mute and unmute Commissioner Carey whenever she wants to speak.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to be muted?
Huh?
Are you trying to be muted?
Yes.
What?
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Richards, and thank you, Commissioner Carey. We will move forward to agenda item number 3, which is the approval of our January 14th meeting minutes.
I make the motion that we approve the January meeting minutes.
I second it.
Okay. Is there any discussion on that motion that has been made and properly second? If not, I will call for the vote. Commissioner Conam,
Aye.
Commissioner McGinnis,
Aye.
Commissioner Ajay,
Aye.
Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner Carey,
Aye.
and Commissioner Smith. Aye. The motion carries. Ms. Richards will document that. Thank you, commissioners, for reading the minutes and being able to make a proper motion and vote to approve the minutes as documented. We'll go forward to agenda item number 4, which has many items under it, sub-items. The first one being 4A, Juneteenth status update, and I will yield the floor to Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Ajay.
Yep. And I can jump in on providing a status of the meeting that I had with the Bloomington Normal Black History Project Committee. I'm a member of that group, so when we had our last meeting, I provided them an overview of the document of understanding that we approved at our January meeting. And that document was well received by all. They felt that it aligned with how the event typically goes, but they felt it also is a very good document just to ensure that they're going the direction with when planning the event to meet the expectations. They did have a couple of questions. One is that they wanted, and this is brand new, they wanted to get some insight on how things will work going forward so far as the partnership with the Human Relations Commission. So far, will there be joint meetings, or just in general, just some insight on how that would be anticipated on how that process would work. And overall, they are ready and waiting. Like, as I said at the last meeting, they've been very eager to jump into planning of the event itself. And I did share with them that one of the items that's was in flight so far as the budget for the event itself. But overall, they they comprehended the document of understanding, didn't have any concerns. And as I indicate there, I'm just kind of trying to hold them steady because they're ready to run with the planning of the event. Any questions in that regards to the meeting with them?
Commissioner Jones, if I may chime in here, thank you for providing that initial update. I did want to share with you all that after making Deputy City Manager Tyus aware of our plans, he also wanted us to ensure that we reach out to the Bloomington Normal NAACP to make them aware of these plans and to consider for bringing them into the fold for partnership as well. He informed me that the NAACP had previously requested funding from the city for this very purpose.
Being a member of the NAACP, I will reach out to their executive committee to ensure there's connections. I'll connect the dots.
Thank you.
So, Ms. Richards, I have a question. So Deputy City Manager Tyus said that NAACP had previously put forth an ask for this event or an event similar to this. Do we know if that was it the 2020 year or the current fiscal year? Which fiscal year did they make that ask for? Just curious.
I believe this was for the 2020 year. And so
Okay.
he wants to make sure that because they had interest in carrying out either a similar event or but an event for this very cause, he wanted to make sure that we bring them into the fold if they were interested in partnering with us.
Okay.
Yeah, and just to give clarification, I believe what actually had occurred, because we have multiple people that's on I always have to pause Bloomington Normal African Black History Project that are also on the NAACP. And what I believe occurred was that individuals had made an ask, and it may have been perceived that they were representing the NAACP, but I'll make sure all the dots are connected.
Commissioner Jones, how frequently or what is the cadence of the Bloomington Normal Black History Project meeting? What's the cadence of those meetings? Just curiosity.
Sure. We have monthly meetings. That's basically the executive meeting. However, for whenever we have special events, we meet based on need or demand.
Okay.
So we have ad hoc schedule, but in general, we have monthly meetings.
Okay. All right. I did have another question, but I will ask the commissioners. Do you all have questions centered on this topic? Commissioner Ajay, do you have information to share because you're partnering with Commissioner Jones? So I'll go to you first.
No, I have no questions, nor do I have additional input.
Okay. Other commissioners, apologize.
What
Does
happened?
anyone else have
Oh.
any comments or questions regarding the topic?
Chair Smith, I do have some input that may help the commission.
Okay,
Just a
please.
couple of updates. So at this time, based upon the feedback from our previous meeting, I just had some updates I wanted to provide to the commission, and they are as follows. So at this time, we are awaiting estimates. We submitted reservation request to the zoo lady, and we're awaiting a quote for her right now because in one of the budgets line items you'll see, and we'll talk about that a little later. That's one of the line items and one of the requests that we would have face painting there. But based upon some feedback from Commissioner Jones and the Bloomington Normal Black History Project, stating that they had interest in using a couple of locations, one being the BCPA lawn or the Miller Park area. I've gone ahead and placed an internal hold for the Miller Park bandstand and a tentative reservation for the BCPA lawn. And so again, I just wanted to make sure that we had those locations reserved depending upon whatever the committee decided so that they wouldn't get snatched up for June 19th, which is a Saturday. And I could provide more information about this a little later. But if we're going to use the BCPA lawn area, we will need a permit for that location. We do have information on how to obtain that permit as well. Also wanted to let you know that we will need to, a lot of this is contingent upon the committee finalizing a start time and a finish time for the event that will include setup. And so though these both locations are held tentatively, it really is going to be contingent upon us deciding very quickly the start time and the end time. And again, that needs to include cleanup time as well. And lastly, as it relates to the event, I want to keep in mind that a lot of the planning going forward, and including our budget, is reliant upon whether or not the Juneteenth Planning Committee will decide to have the event virtually, in person, or a hybrid of both. So just wanted to make sure that we were aware with that. And later on in the meeting, actually the next step, we were going to be reviewing the budget so we could look over this a little further if you'd like.
So commissioners, do you have any questions or thoughts around what Ms. Richards has shared thus far? The next sub-bullet or sub-item on the agenda goes further into the budget, and which will likely help us make some decisions around the information she shared. So what's your pleasure? Do you want to pause and talk about what has been shared thus far, or should we move forward to the next item? Okay, Hearing none, I think we'll go forward. Item number B, 2021 Juneteenth budget review and approval. Ms. Richards is sharing her screen.
All right, can everyone give me a thumbs up if possible, or either use the thumbs up feature on the chat box to let me know that you can see the budget on the screen?
I can see it.
Perfect. All
I can
right,
see it.
thank you. And so here is a tentative budget or expense list that has been updated, and I've added some changes to this list for the commission. I've recently wanted to make sure that I got some of the more pertinent items up to date with cost analysis here. So I reached out to Blue Spring Inks here, and you'll see that previously, in previous years, we've been able to utilize them, and we haven't had any problems with working with this company. So I thought it would be good for us to continue that working relationship. So for one unit, one restroom facility unit through this company, their charge would be $100. And I wanted to ensure that we had a wheelchair accessible restroom facility as well. So that's why you see the increase of $150 for that one particular unit. As it relates to the hand washing stations, I thought I put both small and large hand washing stations here within this proposed list of expenses, just so that you can have an idea of the cost difference between a 15-gallon version and a 35-gallon version here. And then a couple of other changes that I made. I wanted to make sure that I included the Zoo Lady's line item here. Usually she would charge $50 per hour. This is tentative. I have submitted a reservation request for to be considered. And so as soon as she replies back to our request, I'll provide that to the commission. A couple of other changes here that I thought was important to consider was whether or not we would be receiving possible donations for some of these items. The cost for the BCPA lawn and the bandstand are tentative because, again, we're just not sure, what the start time will be, how long we'll have the space. But I did want to bring up to the commission that after speaking with Katie Taylor in Park, she informed me that the pavilion had been reserved in 2020. However, due to COVID, we were not able to move forward with that. And so we still have the pavilion as well reserved. So I'm not sure if that's something that, the current committee wants to take back to the Bloomington Normal Black History Project and confirm which location we want to for sure have, so that I could release some of those reservations. But I think that would be important because that'll help us move forward. And as you can see, there's some line items that if we decide to do this event virtually, we won't necessarily need, and it would help reduce our budget.
Yeah, what you've stated makes sense, and I will go back to the Black History Project to get their input in regards to location. And one of the things we did talk about so far is, would it be virtual or would it be in person? And with that unknown factor, so far as if things will be safe by June, the conversation was to have parallel planning. So that was kind of what the conversation kind of mapped out to in regards to, because of not really knowing at this point in time what the future holds so far as the COVID situation.
So Ms. Richards, thank you, Tony, for that remark on behalf of Bloomington Normal Black History Project. With Deputy City Manager Tyus asked to invite in NAACP participation. So we being HRC and Bloomington Normal Black History Project have already sort of started collaborating together. When do we need to make a decision on if we're having this outside? Will it be Miller Park or the BCPA lawn, do we have the luxury of waiting to have this three-party conversation start up with, to collaborate and make a decision? Do we have that luxury of time? Ms. Richards?
Thank you, Chair. In my honest opinion, given the fact that there is quite a bit of planning that has to move forward with this, I would say we probably shouldn't extend any decision-making past March. I'm concerned about us being able to secure, unique and diverse talent, perhaps even reaching beyond the McLean County community. And so that means that we're going to be reliant upon those particular entertainers' schedules. And I could imagine that given the attention towards all things Black Lives Matter and all things social unrest and all things in diversity, equity, and inclusion, that there's going to be a lot of organizations trying to obtain talent and entertainment and education performers for events just like this. So I am concerned about the time. However, I certainly believe that, a conversation with NAACP is warranted, and perhaps it wouldn't, we could do that in between meetings. We wouldn't have to necessarily wait until the next meeting. That could be an item, a task that one of the commissioners can take on and find out, if they would like to join us at work. And my suggestion for a next step would be to perhaps get a meeting on the books between the three groups as soon as possible, and inform NAACP of where we are, so that we don't necessarily have to stall. But that would be my suggestion.
Yeah, and if I can piggyback on that, the vice president of the NAACP has been the core coordinator for the Black History Juneteenth event there. So that connection is there. So I'll ensure that get expedited so far as the ask that was kind of formally to include the NAACP in it, but also to not make that to be a hindrance so far as communication and speed and progress.
Okay. Commissioners, what are your thoughts around this?
This is Commissioner Ajayi. As Ms. Richards just pointed out, time is of the essence, and any work that we can do in between meetings is going to be critical. I will volunteer the subcommittee that myself and Commissioner Jones are on to liaise with the Bloomington Black History Project and the Bloomington NAACP in between this and our next meeting, to come to the next meeting with a report as to who wants to do what, when, where, and how. To that point, I'm hesitant about moving forward too quickly with the uncertainty of COVID ahead of us and not knowing what the level of safety will be come June 19th. I hesitate to lock down any one particular venue. If we have the pavilion, for example, or the lawn, then we're committed to an outdoor location and a number of expense items, which may end up not being needed. God forbid we have a variant of COVID making us go back indoors again. So we have to think about this very carefully, exactly how we want to move forward in terms of location and virtual blend or all outdoors. This is something we have to give careful consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Ajayi. Asking or seeking input, thoughts from Commissioner Conam and Commissioner McGinnis.
Well, my thought about this is Commissioner McGinnis. I guess what we have to do is go a two-track program to be ready if it goes virtual, or whether we're going to have it in the park. But I don't think we should wait. I think we need to go ahead and get it set up most of the items on the budget probably could be canceled without undue cost to the program. So I think we need to be ready to move ahead with it and not wait.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioners, this is Commissioner Carey, and I'm just letting you know that if there's anything at all I can help with, I'll be glad to. Just let me know, and I will be glad to help.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey, for sharing that.
And I have something else to share that I wanted to share last month, but I wasn't able to because I could hear you guys, but you couldn't hear me. And I wanted to jump in there when Conan from Liceville was speaking about buildings being more accessible for wheelchairs. And I wanted to tell you that I was able to take part in making 3 buildings in town more accessible. I got to help to help make the Dairy Queen on College more accessible, because if you remember how it was before, there was steps going up there, and nobody in a wheelchair was able to get into that Dairy Queen at first because there were steps going up there. So what I did is I called the building inspector in Normal, and I talked to him about it, and he went over and checked it out, and because I told him what was wrong with it at first, and I got to help make that Dairy Queen on College more accessible for people in wheelchairs, because there's not steps going up to that Dairy Queen like there was before. And also I got to help make the Wendy's on College more accessible, because when it was like it was before, it was real hard for senior citizens to get in there and people in wheelchairs, because it was really steep over there. And I talked to the building inspector in Normal and got that, helped to get that building more accessible for senior citizens and people with disabilities. And also I want to let you know that I was able to help them make the not Dairy Queen, but Kentucky Fried Chicken on Prospect. And I talked to the building inspector in Bloomington on that building, because there was a big threshold in front of the door. It was a big bump, and it was really hard for people to push wheelchairs over it and stuff like that. So I was able to help get those 3 buildings more wheelchair accessible, and I thought maybe you guys would like to know that. And I wasn't able to share with you last month because I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me.
Commissioner Carey, on behalf of the commission, I would like to thank you for sharing this information. Really proud of you helping ensure that these 3 locations, Dairy Queen on College, as well as Wendy's on College and Kentucky Fried Chicken on Prospect, you've worked with the appropriate people to ensure that these buildings are more accessible to people who are utilizing wheelchairs, and that's helpful for them as well. They have more patrons coming into their buildings, bringing more profit into them. So thank
It
you.
was okay. I interrupted and brought it to you now. I wanted to do it before I forgot again.
Thank you for bringing it forth and sharing it. Did you do that in 2020, might I ask?
It was either 2020 or 2019. I can't remember which year it was.
Just out of curiosity. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So we'll pivot back to the Juneteenth discussion we were having. Commissioner Carey has shared that she is very much willing to volunteer to assist in however she might to help bring this event to fruition. Commissioner Conam, seeking your input on this as well. Commissioner Conam, can you hear me? Okay. She may be muted or something. So, Ms. Richards, what is the due date for responding back to BCPA regarding their lawn and for Miller Park? Because I know that they are held tentatively.
So the BCPA lawn location is actually contingent upon a resolution to a conflict right now. So what's happening is that there is an event that's happening indoors, and so we are working to find out whether or not, if we have our event on the BCPA lawn at that same day and time, will it create a conflict for that event that's taking place indoors? And so I should find out more about this perhaps in the next couple of weeks, no later than before March. So I'm working with Brian Leach on this at the moment, and he should get back to me soon. So that location we wouldn't have to give a response probably until March sometime. However, for the bandstand location, as soon as possible. This is considered an internal hold because it is a city event or a city-related sponsored event, and so they're doing or providing us that opportunity. So I would like to have an answer for them as soon as possible. No date was given, however.
Okay. You were sharing the information to keep us abreast of things as you have updated this budget,
Yes.
and not seeking your expectation wasn't for us to deliver a decision tonight, or was it?
No, it's not.
Okay, thank you. It was mentioned, and I believe it was by Commissioner Jones as well as Commissioner Ajay about regarding whether this event would be virtual, outside, or hybrid. I do think we need to do our due diligence and really think about that. I know I have my thoughts and opinions, and so really interested, and it's really good that we have more time, and Ms. Richards wasn't looking for us, the commissioners, from the commission perspective, to make a decision on that tonight, and I don't know which pathway or which avenue or which source we could gather more information on and be more comfortable making a decision one way or another. But I do think we need to do our due diligence on gathering enough information before we make a decision on outside, Zoom, or hybrid, given full consideration of who will be attending, the population of this community, should I say. So that's my spiel. I'm going to ask if the commissioners have any thoughts on what I shared.
This is Commissioner Jones. Yeah, I agree with what you said, and then also with what Commissioner McGinnis indicated there, so far as like a parallel planning, and then basically just be prepared that you can't have it live, and incorporate that into the planning, and perhaps have a specific date in which a drop dead decision is made, so far as, okay, we're going to go with a virtual versus in person. But I think given planning, what I call parallel planning, up until that point in which a decision, drop dead decision to be made, is probably a reasonable approach.
Understand that and totally receive that, which is why I was asking Ms. Richards about what is the date that a decision must be made on the locations, because that's really the date that a firm decision must be made. So thoughts and comments from other commissioners before I move forth on the agenda? Healthy discussion, so appreciate it.
Yes, Commissioner Chair Smith, to the point that Commissioner McGinnis made about dual track planning and that Commissioner Jones just seconded, I would caution that it may not be as easy as it's been laid out to get refunds on commitments that we make. For example, if we tell a speaker that we're doing a thing and we're doing it outside and we're flying them here and we're buying tickets and we're paying them X number of dollars, and then 2 weeks before we try to tell them, oops, sorry, and nothing for you, they're going to sign a contract with us, which we are going to be bound by. So that due diligence of which you speak, Madam Chair, might include the city staff laying out for us by the next meeting what is bookable and refundable and what would be a commitment, so that we can be clear about what exactly we can plan and what we cannot plan. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Commissioner Jai. That was a point that I planned to speak to and forgot. So thank you for refreshing my memory. So when Commissioner McGinnis, when you said parallel, understand the parallel as long as there's no cost on either side of that running parallel. I'm hesitant, really hesitant to do parallel when we have to make a financial commitment to keep going forward, because how do you rescind that and have that organization or entity that you've been running with intentions of maybe utilize it and say, oh, oops, no, I think we're not going to utilize you, but will they expect some type of financial?
Well, I understand that, this Commissioner McGinnis. But the other side of the coin is that if we don't plan, June is coming fairly quickly. And if we don't plan a two-path route, we may not be ready for the program. So, but I agree that we don't want to commit large amounts of money for an outside event if we don't have to. And maybe that's where we'll set the date. The final commitment for the outside speakers, which would probably be the biggest cost, will probably determine when we should decide. But at this point, I don't see any problem in doing a dual path program, because there's no way we're going to decide what's going to happen in June. You'll go through vaccines with 1A and 1B, but we're probably not going to be to 2 yet as far as vaccines go. So,
Commissioners, if I may add something to consider, as we're talking about possibly moving forward with either parallel planning or bringing in the ACP and so forth and so forth, I think it's important for us to consider who we're going to have as entertainment, as educators, as performers, because that's a cost that we will need to consider, as you want me to provide what's bookable and refundable, I'm going to need to know what the Juneteenth Planning Committee as a whole has decided upon for entertainment, performers, educators, so that I could move forward and provide you with that information prior to the next meeting. So I know that Commissioner Jones was going to reach out to NAACP and take information back to the Bloomington Normal Black History Project members. If I could have information as to some tentative persons or groups or organizations, entertainers that you would like to have me look up cost and booking information for, that would be helpful so that I can make sure that you have information prior to the next HRC meeting.
Sure. So I believe I heard this, but I don't know, it's been a very long day. Did I hear Commissioner Jai agree to serve as a liaison along with Tony, Commissioner Jones, to help ensure that NAACP as well as the Bloomington Normal Black History Project, everything is gelled together before we come back to our March meeting, that they will have all those conversations going and in place?
You did indeed hear
Okay.
that correctly. And
Okay.
let me add, Ms. Richards, what would be helpful for us in the interim would be some information that the city could provide. For example, typically when we've hired entertainers, when we give them a contract, we're locked in and we cannot rescind that contract. Typically, when we hire, entertainment, it's a contract which is non-refundable. That sort of general information, without knowing specifically that it's Mr. XYZ or Miss ABC that we're going to hire. Just generally, what has the city seen when it comes to these sort of contracts and commitments?
I will be sure to, thank you so much for that additional information. I'll be sure to get that to you prior to the next meeting via email, Commissioners.
That will be very helpful. I do believe that with Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Jai doing this, partnering together to have these conversations with NAACP and the Bloomington Normal Black History Project will be very helpful, valuable work that will definitely help us when we come back together for our meeting in March. I think we'll be better positioned to make decisions. And we'll have to spend less time wondering, thinking about how to get NAACP up to speed. And I know Commissioner Jones said that one of the executive members from NAACP was already participating in the Black History Project. So that's very helpful. So we'll wait and we'll look to our two commissioners who are going to really move the needle for us. And if necessary, perhaps they will provide that information to Ms. Richardson. She will be able to share that with us via email before our meeting, and we can consider that information and come prepared to have those discussions and make a decision if need be. Thoughts on that?
We will have information on the venue also, like BCPA lawn, I guess we had the discussion earlier.
When you say information on the BCPA lawn, are you
Like there was the event going on
the inside?
and will we have a conflict? I think that information may also be beneficial in making our decision.
Ms. Richards was saying that she was presently working on resolving that issue about would the event on the inside cause a conflict or noise disruption with the event on the outside.
Yeah, Ms. Richardson, I believe earlier indicated that it may be later than March. So I was just trying to see if will we get that information also, some sort of finalized information prior to our next meeting.
Commissioner Cullinan, I will do my best. I'm really at the mercy of the original event planners that scheduled indoors. So and at the mercy of Brian Leach, who has been amazing, keeping me informed thus far. So I will let the commission know as soon as possible, but we're hoping to have an answer prior to the next meeting.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any additional questions on that? If not, we will move forward to the next item. Pausing for 2 seconds here. Okay, silence. C, item C, Jewel Foundation proposal, discussion and consideration for approval. Ms. Richards sent that information out to us well in advance of this meeting. Hopefully everyone has read that information.
Chair Smith, for the convenience of the commission, I've gone ahead and shared my screen in case anyone needed a reminder.
I have some comments on it. This is Commissioner McGinnis. It's not a proposal, it's a budget. I would like to see a proposal of what they want to do with some specifics. I have never seen a proposal with just a budget.
Well, Commissioner McGinnis, thank you for that statement. I do want to note that on the document, it does list some of the things that Jewel Foundation does. It states that the Jewel Foundation is a nonprofit organization devoted to providing opportunities for youth and helping them reach their potential through mentoring, tutoring, college campus visits, etc. Funds request is to assist their 40 participants with travel expenses for the spring college tour and the ACT, SAT boot camps that they attend. It also talks about some of the impact that they've faced. And so in addition to this document, I did supply the commission with a link to their website to discuss or to explore more about the organization and some of the things that they do.
I understand that, but that's a mission statement. What specifically are they going to do with $3,000? It's not their mission statement they're going to do. They got to do something specific. Is it for administrative costs? What is it for specifically?
So to add on to that, I guess in the past when we had requests for some type of donations or amounts, the particular organization used to come in and talk about like what are they going to do. So will this organization, Jewel Foundation, will be willing to come in and talk about their activities covering this amount? As I guess, this is quite a significant amount, and I'm not sure if we had received this in the prior years, at least in my tenure. I don't recall this.
Commissioner Conan, thank you for that history. I will share that if I had been aware of the request to have the Jewel Foundation or any organization who's requesting funding to come in to meet with us, I would have had them present on tonight's meeting. So I am more than willing to make sure, if the commission would like, to have the foundation come and speak and to answer any questions that you may have that may help you make a decision. Feel free to always reach out to me directly with any concerns or questions that you have, but certainly I'm more than willing to inform the Jewel Foundation that the commission is requesting their attendance to one of the meetings if that's what you would like to happen.
So, Ms.
Sure.
I would,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
no. I'm gonna yield to you, Commissioner Jai, and then I will go afterwards.
Okay, just don't come claim back your time.
I thought you were a gentleman all the time. Go forth.
Oh, thank you, Chair Smith. It was quite clear to me from reading this letter that they're looking for this money to help their, quote, 40 participants with travel expenses for spring college tour and ACT, SAT boot camps. I think I personally know Andre Hersey. I'm familiar with the Jewel Foundation. I think it's a worthy enterprise. And as I said, they need money for these kids to travel. and to go to boot camps. If we want to, I would be okay with voting on this tonight and not delaying it for another month and waiting for them to come in and speak. And if we want to put contingencies on that funding, whether it be an itemized list of expenditures that will be related to these funds, then I think that's okay. But I think this document was quite clear. It may be a little unconventional and not necessarily in the format of a typical proposal. I don't think that formatting and language deficiencies should hinder us from assisting these children in this and this program in this valiant effort that they're trying to put forward. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Commissioner McGinnis and Commissioner Jai. So two things I wanted to share. Oh, and Commissioner Conam, you brought forth a valid point here. I believe he's now the Chief Diversity Officer, Mr. Hurt, brought this before us last year, if I'm not mistaken. The Jewel Foundation, some of those students were hired by the city. So it was a first time inaugural program where the city put forth some of their students out of this program to be hired. And Mr. Hurt said that they met the expectation and the city was planning to utilize them again this summer. So pretty proud of that their performance met the expectation and that they were not no-shows and didn't cause trouble. So I am, as Commissioner Jai said, I'm aware of Mr. Hersey and what he has done with these students, how he has taken them to art museums, how he's taken them on college tours. That takes a passion and a lot of care and concern to nurture youth. $3,000.
Chair Smith, are you meaning Mr. Hersey?
Mr. Hersey. If I said Mr. Hurt, I meant Mr. Hersey. Yes. So there was another program that the commission was providing. I think they initially requested $2,000. And then I asked Mr. Jones if he remembers the name of it. And we supported that program for 7, 8 years. Mr. Jones, Commissioner Jones, do you remember? They took trips abroad.
Yeah, I remember. It was the.
You can think of it, but I'll go ahead. So we supported that program annually. They once requested 2,000, 2,000, 2,000, and then the commission brought it down, suggested a lower amount, 1,500, and then we went to 1,000. I believe at one point, Commissioner Jones put forth a motion to lower it, and then he paid personally out of his pocket for the gap because he put forth the motion and then he paid the additional amount to take it to what they requested. We began asking that organization to bring in 2 students to talk to us about their experience, how they were planning to apply that personally and professionally, how it was going to help them advance their academics. So it was 2 students. They would go to some country abroad. One of our commissioners, former commissioners, was engaged with that. So he would go on those trips abroad with them. And so that's where bringing the students in to talk to us about their experiences, how that was going to benefit them.
That sounds like the diversity project.
Okay, then that was it.
Yeah,
so
McLean County Diversity Project.
Yes, I'm all in for asking Mr. Hersey to bring in himself and a couple of his students to talk to us about their experience in this project. I'm also supportive of moving forth with making a decision on this request tonight. And additionally, if we want to make it official that we have a specific template on how people submit proposals to us, then we should do that rather than I don't want to say judge or feel that someone didn't submit something to us and we didn't have any expectations set forth. So I'll leave it right there. Any other comments from our commissioners?
Yeah, this is Commissioner Jones. I'm comfortable with taking the approach of having them come in and speak, and so that others that are not familiar with the program have an opportunity to learn more about it and ask questions. So it's just kind of my feedback.
Okay, so what's the commission's appetite for, do we want to pause and wait till we can invite them to a commission meeting, or is there an appetite to move forward tonight? And if there is, we need a motion. Commissioner Carey, I didn't hear from you, so if you have something to share, please bring it forth.
I'm willing to help out with whatever I can. I think that we should go ahead and vote or approve what you're talking about and get it into perspection.
Okay, thank you.
Since it sounds like I might have a second, I'll go ahead and make a motion that we approve the $3,000 request for the Jules Foundation.
Okay. It has been properly motioned that we move forward with approving the $3,000 request from the commission to go to support the students in the Jewel Foundation. Is there a second on this motion?
I second.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey. So it's been properly moved and second that the commission provides support of $3,000 to the Jewel Foundation to support the students. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I will call for the vote. Commissioner Conam.
Aye.
Commissioner McGinnis.
No.
Commissioner Carey.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
I abstain.
Commissioner Ajayi.
Aye.
And Commissioner Smith. Aye. Ms. Richards, do you have that count and outcome for us?
Yes, the majority is that we will move to approve the $3,000 in support of the June Foundation and its students. The motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Richards. Thank you, commissioners, for your discussion around this topic. Ms. Richards, we will move forward with working to get Mr. Hersey and a couple of his students to come forward to attend our meeting and share more insight with us about the foundation and the benefit that the students have gained from participating in this program.
Yes, Chair Smith, I will ensure that we get that meeting scheduled and I will communicate this back to the Joel Foundation. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. The next item is the Human Relations Commission Awareness Plan.
All right. Chair Smith, I have shared my screen. And if I may just be clear that the awareness plan is it's compacted, right? And it requires a lot of moving pieces and quite a bit of discussion on task management. So who's going to do what? Who are we going to partner with? So I want us to look at this document from that perspective. And I believe that there's quite a bit of work that's going to have to happen in between commission meetings. And so I'm not quite sure how you would like to move forward if we want to go into creating special meetings or so forth, or but just wanted to make sure that we had that perspective in mind as we looked at this document.
Okay. Is there, there is a lot in the document, but there's a lot of great information in here. So can we, what's the commission's thought around taking this in chunks or bites in each meeting? Or is there a preference to do a special meeting around this?
Your thoughts?
My vote will be like maybe we can do a special meeting because there's a lot of content and a lot of action items probably. So a special meeting may be beneficial. This is Konam.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Jones. In addition to that, the thought that I was going to suggest is perhaps to prioritize the items on there, but I also in agreement with an additional meeting or special meeting, but kind of take the chunks and prioritize to see which is most urgent, which is has the most impact.
I might, Commissioner Jones and myself, this is Commissioner Ajayi, found a lot of efficacy in us forming a subcommittee and working offline and being able to provide staff with documentation they could then share with the commission, rather than forming a special meeting and all of the ordinance requirements that go along with that in terms of notification and all that. If there are members of the commission who would volunteer to be on the subcommittee to work together to do the prioritization of which Commissioner Jones speaks, and to look at other items and give us some guidance and feedback that we could either address at the next meeting and move more expeditiously, or then maybe determine that a special meeting is needed. But I would recommend setting up a subcommittee ASAP to work on the prioritization and review of this document.
Commissioner McGinnis and Commissioner Carey.
Yes.
What are your thoughts around how we move forward with the commission awareness plan based on some of the feedback that has been shared by Commissioner Jones and Commissioner Ajayi? Subcommittee, special meeting.
Maybe it would be best if we formed a subcommittee to get started on this, and not do a special meeting for it. I don't know. I was just telling you what I was thinking.
Oh, sure. And that's what we would like, is for you to share your thoughts. We're all unique individuals, and hearing each other's thoughts is what makes this commission better. So thank you. Commissioner McGinnis.
You're muted.
Commissioner.
Sorry, I think a subcommittee would be a good idea to try to narrow this down. That makes sense.
Thank you, Commissioner McGinnis. Okay. It sounds like a resounding yes to a subcommittee. Ms. Richards, did you have anything else you wanted to share? If not, I'm going to see if I can get a motion on how we can move forward with this, perhaps sounding like a subcommittee.
Chair Smith, I don't have any further comments. I just hope that the commission is pleased with what I was able to put together, and that we can move forward with letting the community know about the great things that we do here.
Yes, I was very pleased with the document that you put together and shared out. So great job. Okay, can I get a motion,
This is Commissioner Carey, and I make a motion that we have a sub-meeting or whatever.
I'd like to help her out with that. I make the motion that we form a subcommittee to start initial work on prioritizing the plan and initializing the next steps.
Commissioner McGinnis, I second it.
Is there further discussion on the motion that has been brought forth and seconded?
Madam Chair, I wonder if the motion might be the easy part and getting the subcommittee members might be slightly more trying.
Maybe that's why I was a little hesitant. Yes. So we'll see here. I'm going to call for the vote here. This motion has been put forth and seconded, and it's on the table. Comment has been made on this. So Commissioner Conam.
Aye.
Commissioner McGinnis.
Aye.
Commissioner Carey.
Aye.
Commissioner Jones.
Aye.
Commissioner Jai.
Aye.
And Commissioner Smith. Aye. Ms. Richards, did you get all of the votes?
Yes, Chair Smith, and the motion carries.
Okay, so a response to this, oftentimes just people in general will vote for things. And then when it's time to actually take action and implement, even though people voted on them, it's a little difficult to get people to take action. So we voted on having a subcommittee to rally around this and prioritize the information that's in this beefy document. Do we have some willing workers and hands to get this task completed? Because we want to really gain some momentum before we come back to our March meeting. So I'm going to raise my hand to be on the subcommittee. Do we have others?
This is Commissioner Jones. I raise my hand to roll up my sleeves and work.
This is Commissioner Kiran. I would like to be part of the subcommittee also.
And commissioners, I will certainly lend my support as well, and would be willing to join the subcommittee as a staff liaison, considering that this is certainly a passion of mine, and I want to ensure that I'm a part of this good work. So,
Ms. Richards, are there restrictions on the number of people we can have in this subcommittee before we run into Open Meetings Act issues?
very good question. Yes, we will not be able to have all participants, all commissioners participate in the subcommittee for fear of violating an OMA regulation. Thank you, Commissioner.
How many can we have?
4 would be the maximum number of participants on the subcommittee.
Thank you. And we currently have 3, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I'll volunteer to participate as needed.
Oh, I heard a caveat on that.
Well, I
Mm-hmm.
when we were appointed to this board, I just want folks to realize this is more than showing up for a meeting once a month, right? And I don't want it to be the same folks doing all the work all the time. And so I deliberately did not put my name forward because I wanted to see who else would step up. And I'm really glad that others have. So I know we have 3 and we have room for 1 more, and I don't want to take any space away from anyone who may be considering joining, and I take away their spot. So if somebody else steps up, then great. I'll be happy to sit on the sidelines and look for the results of the work. I'm already on one subcommittee anyway. Thank you.
Absolutely, yeah. So the as needed is definitely appropriate, and we will definitely try to limit needing you and Tony as much as possible, because we are expecting quite a bit to come from you, the 2 of you commissioners, before our March meeting. So we'll respect that from your time. Okay. So myself and Commissioner Coran and Ms. Richards, I guess will be Rosie to get some things done while you're working intentionally on the Juneteenth event. So thank you, Ms. Richards, for really putting in some time and intentional focus to get this information together for us. And if we execute well, our presence will be increased within this community. So let's see, the City of Bloomington's 2021 Black History Month essay contest. Who owns that item?
So that is actually an item that I placed on the document. So it looks like we're, okay, there we are. All right, lots on the agenda tonight, so I wanted to make sure I didn't get lost here. All right, so I'm super excited about this endeavor. The City of Bloomington is looking or considering ways in which we could celebrate Black History Month in a creative manner. And so I suggested to the folks who are planning or who were trying to decide what we were going to do for Black History Month. This was one of my suggestions, and that is to have a Black History Month essay contest. And that we may end up having to change and take out the word month, because we are also looking to extend this past February. We're initiating planning for the essay contest currently, and that may, though we will launch it in February, the scoring and judging may not take place, and the announcements, I'm sorry, may not take place until either the end of February or early March. And so we're excited about this. We're looking to have this opportunity extended to elementary and high school students and invite the community to serve as scorers, essay readers, and judges in partnership with city leaders. And so there's a lot that is going forth as it relates to planning this event for the community. But the reason why it's placed on the HRC's agenda is because there was an ask to see if HRC or the awards for the essay contest, the awards and the gifts could be purchased out of the HRC budget. And at this time, we don't have a cost for what or a total of what the award amounts would be, or what the the cost for the awards would be. We don't have pricing for the gifts at the moment either. But I was asked to bring this item forward to HRC to consider whether or not this would be an endeavor that the Human Relations Commission would like to partner with us on, given that this is a city-sponsored event. And that I know that the Human Relations Commission is very, or is always partnering or looking for opportunities to partner for within the community. So just wanted to make sure that I brought this to your attention and have some discussion about it and see whether or not HRC would like to support and sponsor the cost of either the awards for the winners or the awards and the gifts for the winners.
Thank you for sharing that, Ms. Richards. I have a couple of questions, and I'm sorry for getting out in front of the other commissioners. You said it's already underway. Can you help me understand who the we is? Is that the city administration? Who's the we?
Yes. So this is a planning consortium between myself Nicole Albertson, who is the HR director, and Michael Hurt, who is the Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer for the City of Bloomington. We ran the proposal that we have for this essay contest and all the details of planning past Deputy City Manager Tyus, who thought it was a great, as well as City Manager Gleason, who both showed support for this effort and thought it was a great idea for us to move forward.
Okay. So you did indicate that likely the word month would be removed from that contest, essay contest, because we're already at what, third week? Next week we'll be into the third week of this month.
Yes. And that's a thought. You know, I'm not quite sure if we're going to for certain take out month, but my suggestion has been to remove the word month so that we could, you know, it could be all inclusive and perhaps make more sense as we move into March as we're celebrating.
And this is elementary, middle school, and high school?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioners, what are your thoughts, questions around this?
This is Commissioner Jones. My thought would be it could be an opportunity for branding and giving more visibility to the HRC if HRC name is incorporated into the promotion of the event as well as what's communicated. So that would be my ask, is that, you know, the HRC is intentionally incorporated from a branding standpoint for the benefit of, I guess, going back to our community awareness plan. So those are just my initial thoughts. And then also what was mentioned in that, because initially I had a concern about the number of days left in Black History Month, but as Ms. Richards had indicated, is that, you know, they're going to go beyond that. So I'm comfortable with that.
Well said, Commissioner Jones. This is Commissioner Ajayi. I applaud you, Ms. Richards, for moving the word month out of there, because Black history is American history, and American history is year long. So good job on that. I'd like to offer my support for this initiative and to perhaps take it a little further and ask you to consider the winner or winners. I'm sure they'll be in different categories. Maybe we can work with GLT or some other local media to have the winning essays be read or somehow publicly available and recognized so the community can enjoy the fullness of the submissions. And finally, I'd like to, if the criteria for the essays have not been fully developed by the city, I've taught for a little while, so I'd like to offer my insight into developing those the criteria for those documents, because I think it needs to go beyond, you know, there was this guy, he was really great, he had a speech, we love him in the end, and let's see if there are ways we can move beyond reciting history to learning from history. Thank you.
Commissioner Ajayi and Commissioner Jones, thank you both. I want to confirm for you both that as it relates to Commissioner Jones' statement about branding for the HRC, this is absolutely, that was the thought, and it actually is included in my draft of the program. It's one of the reasons why I suggested that we bring it to HRC, and it is a part and meets the goals of our awareness plan as well. So I hope that gives you some comfort in knowing that this is absolutely an opportunity to partner and to give more exposure to the commission. As for your statements in regards to the WGLT branding, Commissioner Kai, I hope that this gives you comfort that included in the plan is a promotional plan as well. I'm sorry, a promotional strategy that includes radio time for, and I don't want to reveal the stations yet, but there is radio time that is included in that promotional plan, as well as the rubric for the essays are in progress, but I will gladly take you up on your offer to assist with that rubric. So I will be reaching out.
Thank you. And I should have known you'd be ahead of the curve on the media thing. Good job.
Okay, other commissioners, do you have any feedback, thoughts, questions you would like to ask? Does silence mean no?
No
Okay,
questions from my end. I agree to support the Black community, and it will help us propagate HR also.
okay. Commissioner McGinnis?
I think
Okay.
it's a great idea, and Ms. Richards has done a great job. So
Thank you. Commissioner Carey, did you have any thoughts you wanted to share?
I think everything's gonna go well.
Okay, thank you. Just for clarity, Ms. Richards, did you say the naming convention, the naming of this would include HRC, or is it
The
that?
name, I apologize.
No, go forth.
The name would, so currently, as you see it, it states the City of Bloomington's 2001 Black History Month essay contest. However, I'm totally in support of including the Human Relations Commission's name. I don't know, that's kind of lengthy, but what we could do, or tell me what you think, when we're promoting this, definitely we're going to have Bloomington Human Relations Commission's logos and their naming on things, but
That's suffices with me. It doesn't have to be in the name per se, but as long as the branding is there on the material that is put out into the community, that's just my take. Okay, so the word month is going to be removed. So appreciative of that. February is a very short month, so the shortest month of all. So really proud to hear that this is going to go much longer. And you did say the criteria for the essays, that's being worked on, or has it been developed?
yes, so a preliminary draft of the criteria has been developed already. The rubric is in the process of being created. We are working on the application. Well, I am working on the application as we speak, along with some other components of the plan. But if the commission would like, once I speak with HR Director Nicole Albertson and Chief Diversity Officer Michael Hurt, once we have our next meeting and kind of finalize things, if you would like, I could provide you with that information as well, so you can have a better idea of what this essay contest will look like for the community.
Okay. Yeah, just curious and really want to encourage that the questions for the essay are really stretch questions that really challenge the students to think and learn, I guess is where I'm coming from. So
actually, I'll send you, I can send the commission separately the draft that we have currently of the questions, if you want to see those as well.
is there an interest from the commissioners in wanting to see that? That could just be me. So I'm not speaking for the commission as a whole.
Well, I'm interested. This is Konam.
Yes, please, Commissioner Ajayi.
Okay, why don't
I'd
you
like to
just
see it too.
send those questions, the draft questions, to the entire commission just for awareness.
Will do, Chair.
Thank you. We will move to, you were expecting a vote from us as to whether we wanted to provide financial support, right, for awards and gifts, but we don't know a range or a tentative amount for this cost. Will you know when that will be available? Will that be available next month?
Yes.
Okay. So commissioners, are you wanting to vote tonight and just say that you are supportive of buying the awards and gifts without knowing an amount for those items, or do you want to wait till March?
I think typically trophies and plaques and those sort of things are not outrageously expensive, and I would imagine that's the sort of thing we're considering here. Maybe a gift card to somewhere or the other to go out and eat a nice dinner with your family. Maybe we could put an upper limit of what we've got 3 categories, probably $250 each category, $750 rounded up to $1,000. Say we approve, expenditure up not to exceed $1,000.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, not to exceed. So commissioners, thoughts on that? And if so, can we move forward with the motion? Any thoughts?
This is Kona. Yeah, I'm in favor of approving with the upper limit of not exceeding the $750.
I'd like to move that we vote to support the purchase of awards for the City of Bloomington's Black History Essay contest in an amount not to exceed $1,000.
I second it.
Okay, it's been moved and second that we support the Black History Essay Contest along with the City of Bloomington, and it will be ongoing. It is not tied to the month of February. And we will provide financial support for the awards and gifts in the amount not to exceed $1,000. Any further discussion?
Thank you all.
Hearing none, I'll go for the vote. Commissioner Jones,
Aye.
Commissioner McGinnis,
Aye.
Commissioner Carey,
Aye.
Commissioner Conam,
Aye.
Commissioner McGinnis. I think I called you. Did I call you Commissioner
Yes, you
McGinnis?
did.
Okay. Commissioner Ajayi
Aye.
and Commissioner Smith, aye. Ms. Richards, count on the vote.
Motion carried.
Thank you, commissioners. Looking forward to this essay.
Chair Smith,
Yes.
I must apologize. I have a presentation commitment in less than a minute
Okay.
to a group in Chicago, so I need to bow out.
Thank you for the awareness and thank you for being present and fully engaging tonight. We won't commit you to anything further without you being present.
I appreciate that. Thank you all. Until next time.
Okay, bye-bye. Let's move to the last item under new business, and that's discussion regarding meeting with the Town of Normal's HRC to plan the MLK Awards and Racial Equity Summit. Who has information on that?
Chair Smith, this is Commissioner Jones. Did we
Yes.
skip over an item E?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I saw that as D. So I'm still going to go forward with this item and then we'll go back.
There's also item G, right?
I'm just
Sorry.
bringing up item G, discussion regarding meeting with the Town of Normal's HRC to plan 2022 MLK Awards and Racial Equity Summit.
Okay.
Who owns that?
Chair Smith, this was a request from Normal's Human Relations Commission Chair Janessa Williams. She asked if we would consider meeting with the Town of Normal to discuss these items here. And so I believe this is an opportunity for the commission to decide whether or not they want to move forward with that particular ask.
Yeah, and this is Commissioner Jones. I was also cobbing on that communication from her. And I know last year we were scheduled to have a joint meeting in March, but then COVID happened and that we never had a group meeting with them at that point in time. So I think this is kind of more of a touch base type of meeting, because the meeting that we didn't have in March was just to have conversation about the 2021 event. And I think we're probably traditionally would have like a debrief meeting after the MLK event. So just kind of the thoughts that I have here in reaction to this is that I think definitely a combined meeting in which we talk about the past event as well as talk about potentially 2020 events so far as like, whether it'll be virtual, in person, just kind of talk about it in general. So just kind of my thoughts there is just, I would be in favor of having some type of collaborative or joint meeting in regards to the town of Normal.
Any other thoughts from the commissioners?
Can we request some information like what is their collaboration extent for this time? Because I know in the past we have done in various forms, and then Town of Normal had like budget cuts, and they were only collaborating from the awards perspective, and they were not able to add anything else. So did anything change from that perspective? So if they can add in some additional details, like what all they can they want to collaborate, or they can collaborate with the new turn of events. And also I have seen it's not only MLK but also Racial Equity Summit. This is, I'm assuming, a separate event. So are we planning to do, yeah, again, same sort of collaboration? And yeah, I myself need to know some additional details of our participation in this Racial Equity Summit.
Okay, so you are wanting to know more information before the meeting, if we did meet?
Yeah, I think that will be beneficial and will be better use of time for both the parties.
Okay, Commissioner McGinnis, your thoughts?
Well, I think we do need some additional information. What topics do they want to discuss? Is it budget items, or is it how the program is put together, or determining speakers? So I think it's a good idea to see if they would send some information before we have a meeting. Otherwise, it's probably not going to go anywhere.
Okay. Commissioner Carey, did you have feedback you wanted to share?
I think it would be better for us to have more information, because if we would have more information, that would give us more to move forward with.
Thank you, Commissioner Carey, for your feedback on this. Ms. Richards, would it be possible to have you work with your liaison on the town of Normal HRC to get more insight around what the meeting, the substance of this meeting requests? I know it says to plan the 2022 MLK Awards. I'm sorry. Ms. Richards?
I believe that's background sound.
Okay. Yeah, so to get more information so that we can come prepared and to have a healthy discussion about planning the 2022 MLK. And I think you already have the history on how we used to alternate who was hosting the event. 1 year Bloomington, the next year Normal, 1 year Bloomington, next year Normal. However, that ceased. That was a cease and desist thing when Normal's budget was cut and they no longer had funds to host it. But Bloomington picked up the ball and kept hosting the event. And Normal's participation was carried out by presenting awards only, with not absorbing any of the cost of hosting the event. So we would like to have a better understanding around what is meant by planning 2022 MOK awards. What does that look like, feel like from their perspective? And I do know when they reduced their budget that eliminated them hosting the event, they were proposing that there was a day of service centered around racial equity. There was a racial summit that was held out at HCC, Heartland. So are these two separate topics, or are they integrating them together? So if you could gather some information on that and bring it back. I do think there is support for having a joint meeting, just seeking a better understanding of what this meeting will be centered on. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, Chair Smith. I'll be sure to share
Thank
that with
you.
the commission.
Commissioners, did I sum that up pretty good? Or did I
Yes,
not?
Yeah, makes
Okay.
sense.
Okay.
thank you.
Yes. So there is support for having the meeting. So if that helps with you to share that with them, there is support in meeting with them. Just need more insight on what the meeting will truly center around, the substance of it, so we can be prepared to have those good conversations with them. And now I will go back to discussion and approval of HRC 2021 planning topics. Who owns that item?
All right, Chair Smith, there was a request to have commissioners submit their topics.
I don't hear any discussion on that. So is that a topic that needs to be held to the next time?
Chair Smith, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. There were some commissioners that provided some feedback as far as their suggestions, and I could share those with you all tonight, or if you, for the sake of time, we could always move that to the next meeting. Just how
Is
would
there
you
a
like,
way to
proceed?
Can you share those tonight so that the commission can review them and be prepared to discuss? Is this a question around the type of format these topics should be discussed in? I mean, should they be discussed in a regular meeting, a special meeting? I guess I'm trying to better understand what this is about.
And I'm not sure who actually owns this particular item, but I do have some suggestions that were submitted.
Okay. So how about you email those to the commission? Did we get enough to, or do we need more? Do you think we have sufficient amount for planning, or do we need more?
There were two commissioner submissions. I do believe that though there were two that submitted, they both submitted hefty items that I think would take a minute to consider. And I think they are all, I think they're great suggestions. And I think honestly, they should be prioritized.
Okay, so can you send those out to the commission and add that statement to it to consider prioritizing them as we review them, and we can discuss them at the next meeting if that's
Yes, we'll do, Chair.
okay. Thank you. We will move on to agenda item number 5, old business, contract compliance follow-up.
All right, that is for me to own. Okay. I know who owns this one. All right. Let me just find my place here. And the commission was provided with a document that's called Contract Compliance Issues and Solutions. For convenience, I'll go ahead and share this document just to refresh the memory of the commissioners. Okay. So all should have received this document here. And based upon this document, myself, Deputy City Manager, and Mr. Hurt have been meeting to address your concerns and the issues and solutions document as you see here. And so I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I just wanted to refresh your memory of what this document was. From our meetings, let me just see here. Here we are. Okay. From our meetings, I'm happy to report that Deputy City Manager Tyus, Mr. Hurd, and myself have been able to create concrete progress. And so I'm really proud of that. And so we've created, or there has been a conceptual plan created that will address this very subject. And so as a part of that conceptual plan, city leadership is tentatively planning to communicate with local unions. Data has been and is being gathered from state resources regarding minority and female contractors for McLean County and within a 50-mile radius. And there's also plans to review census data that contain the number of minority workers categorized by occupation, specifically laborers. And so we're happy to be able to make some headway towards this. And if we continue to keep moving, we certainly will be on the mark to meet our spring deadline. So I wanted to provide that update with you all, or for you all.
That was great news. Wonderful update. Love those kind of updates. You guys have been busy. Commissioners, any thoughts on what Ms. Richards has shared?
Yeah, reaction is just applause and congratulations. They've been working very diligently.
They have busy bees. No wonder she sends emails at midnight.
Oh gosh, you outed me.
I did. I said, does this lady sleep? Okay. Well, I look forward to more coming out of this. Wonderful. The next item is invitation to Deputy City Manager, Mr. Tyus, to attend the HRC meeting. We did put that ask out there. Ms. Richards, did you have an opportunity to follow up on that?
Yes. Deputy City Manager reports that he looks forward to joining us on our March 11th meeting. He is definitely ready to go. And I did confirm with or inform him that we will be providing him with a list of agenda items and any questions that we would like him to answer ahead of time. So he's certainly looking forward to that opportunity.
So we should submit those questions to you and you will compile them?
Yes, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, commissioners. So we can start doing that now. Will you send an email out, Ms. Richards, so that everyone knows to do that? Commissioner Kai Ajay is not with us.
Will do. Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Richards. She is on the ball. Now I'm going to have her up at midnight again. But her support and efforts are very, very much appreciated. What about, okay, let's go with C, consideration to draft welcoming city ordinance statement of support. That was approved by the city council, and I forget which date. Do you know the date, Ms. Richards, by chance?
I do not have that date off the top of my head.
Okay.
Let's see here.
So is there thoughts on consideration to draft that? Statement of support, I know we drafted one in 2020, and that was for help me out, help my memory out. That was drafted in support of, that was around this time that all of the social, racial
Yeah,
injustice was going on.
that would have been in June, and that was in reaction to the George Floyd situation, as well as the and in essence, it was providing our support towards addressing the situations so far as racial inequality, and I think it's actually on our website currently.
So thoughts on this and statement of support for the Welcome in City Ordinance. Commissioners, what's your pleasure? What are your thoughts on this? Is this something you need additional time to think about? I need some responses.
I think we need some additional time.
Mr. McGinnis, thank you for speaking up. Anyone else?
Yeah, I agree.
Is the delay on this item till March? Would the commissioners be comfortable in making a decision on this in March? It's not something we just want to push back, just to continue to push back. We need to take action on this. So if we're gonna pause it, we need to have a date. So are we pausing it for a decision to be made in March? And if so, we need to get a motion on the floor, please.
Yeah, what is your guidance, Chair Smith?
I'm not trying to influence the commission, but if the commission as a whole feels the need to have more time to think on this and would come prepared for the March meeting to make a decision, I am in agreement with that. But the decision, we would have to be accountable to making that decision at the March meeting, because the ordinance was approved just a few weeks ago, and we don't want to have too much time elapse before we show support for it if we're going to draft that statement of support.
Okay, you will probably tell me no. My thought was perhaps you could draft something to present, saying, and then during the next meeting, we would review that and just kind of say, yes, we agree with this, or we want discussion on it. And that way, if we had something that was drafted, then if we did decide, if the group decided to move forward with that, we will already have something, or have something to tweak. Just a thought.
Are you asking me if I would be willing to accept that?
No, I'm just asking your thoughts in regards to that.
I would not be amenable to that unless you're agreeable to do some of my 13-hour State Farm work.
Okay.
No.
And then I preface that with you will probably tell me no.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, I'm gonna reach out to Ms. Richards, because Mr. Hurt was the one who drafted that well-written statement of support for the first document that was written. And since she has excellent communication skills, what are your thoughts on assisting us with that communication? Should we vote yes on it?
Chair Smith, yes, I have no problem assisting with the drafting of this document. And so I just want to make sure the ask is for me to follow up with Mr. Hurt to review his previous letter and to make any additions, that I see fit, present that to the commission for the next meeting to make a judgment to move forward or not on? Is that the ask?
So commissioners, would you want to see something prior to the vote? A draft of what the statement of support would look like for the Welcoming City Ordinance? Or are you just needing time to reflect more on the Welcoming City Ordinance before you even make a decision on yes or no?
I guess I would like to see what Michael sent. It's been a while. So if we could just resend the letter and schedule a vote on March the 11th, that would make sense to me.
So you would like to see the first statement of support for the racial inequality letter?
Yes. I think we're overloading Mrs. Richards with too much work. So yes, just send the letter and we should make a decision on March the 11th.
Yeah, and this is Commissioner Jones, just for awareness. It's actually on our website as a link, that original communication or a statement.
But if we don't send it, people are not probably going to go follow up on it. So if she could just send it to us before the meeting, and we would have a chance to go over it, and we would have no excuse not to consider it.
So you're saying she needs to send us a link to the site, the HRC site, to read the prior statement of support for the racial injustice.
No, what I'm asking is just send a letter to us as a separate item that Michael wrote on this, and so we consider it on March 11th.
Okay, so that's the confusion then. Let me clear that up. Mr. Hurt has never written a statement of support for Welcoming City Ordinance.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I
No,
thought he had.
He only wrote one for the racial and injustice and things that went on back June, July timeframe.
Oh, okay.
So commissioners, do you need something tangible, draft form to look at that's centered around Welcoming City Ordinance before the vote on March 11th?
Yes.
And what does that look like? Is that a high-level draft document, statement of support document, or more information around Welcoming City Ordinance? What is it that you are seeking?
This is Commissioner Jones. My thought was just a draft of the actual letter.
When you say letter, are you saying statement of support?
Statement of support, yes.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Conam, what would you like?
Yeah, I'm okay with the link, and then we can vote.
Okay, you said you're looking at the link?
Sorry, I'm requesting the link.
The link to the HRC website?
I would like the initial proposal, I think, which Tony mentioned that it is there on the website, but if that information can be sent out as requested by McKinnon's, that'll be beneficial, that'll be convenient, I guess, rather than anything.
Okay, I think there still remains some confusion. Commissioner Jones, can we get clarity?
Yes, on the website, I was referring to what was put out in June, and it's called the Bloomington Human Relations Commission Position Statement. So I was just referring to that, what we had put out previously.
But can you share what that position statement is focused on? Provide clarity of that.
Yeah, and I'm just going to read the first sentence. The City of Bloomington Human Relations Commission denounced the murder of Mr. George Floyd at the hands of Minneapolis police officer. The Bloomington Human Relations Commission serves as a catalyst to resolve conflicts within the community. And I won't go further, but that's the nature of that particular position statement.
Does that help, commissioners? So that statement was supporting something else. And this request is to support the Welcoming City Ordinance that was just approved by the council.
This is getting confusing, but I guess what we need to do is look at the Welcoming City Ordinance and vote on that simply.
Yeah, so that's the only thing that is being talked about now under old business is, does every commissioner have a clear understanding of what the Welcoming City Ordinance is? And if not, we need to take additional time between now and March 11 to get a better understanding of that ordinance. And then on March 11th, we will vote as to whether we support drafting a position statement or be it called a statement of support for that ordinance, which has already been approved. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Conam, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I can review it before March meeting.
Okay, there is no statement already drafted. You are going to need to review what the Welcoming City Ordinance is about.
Yep.
Okay. Commissioner Carey.
Yes.
Okay. Are you clear on what the ask is, and that reviewing the Welcoming City Ordinance between today and the March 11th date, and be prepared to vote yes for supporting creating a statement of support for that ordinance, or no, that you don't
Yes.
support it? Okay, thank you, Commissioner Carey. Commissioner Jones, are you clear on that?
Yes.
Okay, I need a motion to foreseeing that this item will be moved to the March 11th agenda.
I make a
I make-
motion. Oh,
I
Go ahead.
make a motion that this item will be moved to, or can be moved to March 11th.
For the purpose of,
Huh?
if you can complete it to say why we're moving it.
I'm sorry, I got stuck.
maybe I could help. If we could, on March 11th, we need to make a final vote on the Welcome City Ordinance
Support statement.
support statement. Right.
Okay, so let's clear up the motion, please, and then do the second of the motion.
On March 11th, we will vote on the Welcome City Ordinance statement of support.
So that's your motion.
Yes.
Okay,
I second.
thank you. Ms. Richards, did you get that?
Yes, thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Is there any additional discussion on that? I think we've taken that one from A to Z. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's go for the vote. Commissioner Conam, what is your vote on this? It's been properly motioned and second that we move this item from tonight's agenda to March 11th to allow us time so that we can vote on drafting a Welcoming City Ordinance statement of support.
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Carey?
Aye.
Thank you. Commissioner Jones?
Aye.
Commissioner McGinnis?
Aye.
And Commissioner Smith? Aye. Ms. Carey, the count of the vote is
Chair, the motion carries.
Thank you, Ms. Richards. The final item is discussion regarding second police reform forum. I am going to, as a chair, use my privilege to ask if this item can be moved till the March 11th agenda.
Duly noted, Chair.
Thank you. We have one item under new business, and that's a presentation by Dr. Doris Houston, the Assistant to the President for Diversity and Inclusion at Illinois State for the March meeting. I'm unsure who placed this item on the agenda. Was it you, Ms. Richards?
Yes, Chair Smith, it was after meeting with Dr. Houston to discuss the work of the Human Relations Commissions, and in order to create a partnership there, she gladly offered to meet with us and provide insight as to what she has been doing as it relates to diversity, equity, and inclusion and the Illinois State University community and for the community at large. And so she provided some initial information that I thought was quite helpful for us as a commission to understand. And so the March 11th meeting she has in her calendar and is willing to come and speak with us if we would like to offer her that time.
So do we know how much time she is going to need? Because we have Deputy City Manager Tyus coming in March. We need to discuss the Juneteenth information more. Just trying to see. Oh, and we need to follow back up on the awareness plan. We
And
will
so
have discussion on that as well.
if you would like, we could certainly move or you could choose another meeting for her to come. The invitation is open.
Okay, I do know that she has a lot of experience in this space, and having her come will definitely be really valuable to us. So I do want to get her in as soon as possible. I'm just hesitant about the March meeting being really full and want to allow as much time as possible for her to share her knowledge and experience in this space, and wondering if April would be a better month for her to come.
I will carry that information back to Dr. Houston to see what her schedule looks like. I will share with you that she did say that a 30-minute slot would be suitable. So there's, yeah.
Okay.
That's quite a bit of information.
Yeah. And then there would likely be questions from us. So can you engage her in checking to see if her calendar is available for the second Thursday in April, sorry, April.
Yes, Chair, will do.
Okay. Okay, we're at the end of our agenda, and I so thank each commissioner for hanging in there with us. We had a lot of good discussion and exchange of information tonight. Tonight's probably, we can write this down in the records, the longest meeting we've ever had. I will go around the room virtually to see if anyone has any last minute comments to make. I'm going to start with Commissioner McGinnis, and before I yield to him, I want to say thank you, Commissioner McGinnis, for always going down to the actual building to be present so that we can have these meetings. So thank you, Mr. McGinnis.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's cold out, there's snow out, and extremely cold, so thank you. Do you have anything you'd like to share?
Just I wanted to compliment Ms. Richards on doing such a great job. We seem to be really moving on some really attainable goals this year, so I appreciate it.
Thank you, Commissioner.
So Commissioner Carey, any parting words for us?
I just think Commissioner Richards is doing a good job. And actually, I think everybody on the committee is doing a good job too. And I would like to say thank you for letting me share with you about me making those 3 buildings more accessible.
And we appreciate you sharing that very important information with us. It very much aligns with what we are called to do by serving on this community and the information in our ordinance. Yes, everyone's calling out the value that Ms. Richards, as the community relations manager, is bringing to the commission and the city of Bloomington. So thank you, Ms. Richards. Commissioner Jones.
Yeah, my last statements are, I have 2. I also think that Ms. Richards is awesome and doing a super duper job. And my last statement is good night.
Commissioner Conam.
Yep. I don't have anything else. And thank you, Ms. Richardson. And yeah, it's a long meeting.
Yes, and I appreciate everyone for sticking with us to get to this end point. And yes, Ms. Richards has done an exceptional job, and we appreciate her for being in the community relations manager position. So everyone, enjoy the balance of your night, stay warm and safe, and we will, for those on the subcommittee for prioritizing the planning branding work, we will get together, so stay tuned for an invite and more to come. Good night.
Good night.
Right.